Dan Campbell talking about Jameson Williams?
I can't. Here's Dan Campbell and what he said about J-Mo.
Yes.
Listen, he's had a good spring, and it's another one. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves in OTAs, but I mean, there's so much versatility with him.
He's going to have a breakout season.
There's so many things that we can do just with his routes on the outside. I mean, we can do things inside.
Is this the new Miggy is in the best shape of his life cut?
And he's gotten so much stronger. You know, his ability to stop, put his foot in the ground. Man, when you can run like he can run, and now you're beginning to where, man, you can stop on a dime. I mean, you talk about a hard cover. So the sky's the limit for him. He's exactly where we want him to be right now at this point, man. He's been here. He's grinding. He's getting better. Scotty's freaking grinding him. It's awesome. But we expect him to have a huge season. We really do, man. He's going to be one of these guys that we're going to lean on this year, and it is really going to be big for us. And all he's got to do is just keep working like he's working, and we'll be good.
All right, Sean Arthur Belizean III. Is it different? Is he actually going to break out? Is he actually going to be?
Can we define breakout? Because like we were talking about this on the Lions weekly report yesterday. Check us out on Sundays. How much can he break out with everything else that is here? Can he be better? Of course, right? Everybody can be better. But like, how much can he break out? Because there's still Amon-Ra. There's still Sam Laporta. There's still other options. So, like, I think we have to say it within reason, Terry. We have to say it within reason, don't we?
We do, but you have no one else on the team with his speed. No one can run a fly route like him. Nobody can turn the corner on a handoff from Goff like he can. I think there's a lot more in the tank for him. And to me, I know, but he had a 1,000-yard season. 1,000-yard season doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It did when there was 14 games or 16 games. Now you got 17 games.
And everybody's passing all over the place.
Right. You're supposed to get 1,000 yards.
Yep.
If you don't, you're a backup.
You know what's funny though? You asked the question, is it was starting? It means more coming from Dan Campbell than the Miguel Cabrera decade-long thing. It really does. Haven't these guys earned your trust? And what I mean by that is if Dan Campbell says something, I don't know, it hits more. I don't think he's one for cliches. I don't think he's one that is going to tell you what he thinks you want to hear. I think he's earned that trust.
Well, I think he will with certain guys like J-Mo.
Okay.
J-Mo, I think they feel they have to handle with kid gloves because he's fragile. He's had a slow start to his career in Detroit, even though he had some, last year was good. But I just think that Dan Campbell, even him, he has to, couch things. He's good. He's going to come out. That you have to pamper him a little bit.
I don't know.
Because he has so much baggage.
I see it a little differently because Dan Campbell has come out before and said, I think it was either last year or the year before that, he said, J-Mo's never going to be that all-hands wide receiver. He's never going to have the elite hands in the league. So he's given him criticism, too, as well. And I think that I just think it's true. Like Sean said, I think it does mean more from Dan Campbell than if it was from a beat reporter or something like that, because we have to prop our guys up a little bit. But Dan Campbell's going to come out and tell you how he sees it. And we've got J-Mo talking about it, too. But I think when you look at what he did at the end of the year last year, him and Jared Goff really got on a good page to where there wasn't any kind of hiccups and they were on the same page. The chemistry was there. We saw his route tree expanding a little bit at the end of the year last year. He's been probably the best player on the field in both of the Lions' last 2 playoff games. So we know he can perform at a high level in important situations. And Johnny Morton likes guys like Jameson Williams. He likes the burners. He likes taking shots down the field off play action. So I think J-Mo's going to be I think he's going to take a step up next year.
Can you define it, though? Can you try to define it?
I think he's going to be fighting for first-team All-Pro.
Okay.
Like I think Jameson Williams is going to be. He's going to lead this team in receiving yards. I think he's going to be
feel that way too.
double-digit touchdowns around there. So yeah, I think the guy's
But
going to
leading this team in receiving yards isn't 1,800, 1,900 yards.
No, it's 1,400. At
Right.
most, yeah.
That's what his big play capabilities. Although he's going to have less receptions than Amon-Ra, assuredly, his big play capabilities kind of lend itself, in my mind, to having more yards if more targets come his way. But with that being said, this isn't like putting up 1,800 yards for the Minnesota Vikings. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But how can you say this, Sean? Jared Goff can't get him the ball.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Terry, I'll tell you what. Lions made sure they posted a nice spiral from Jared Goff and OTAs. That thing was looking good. Look out.
Okay. I'm just saying this is what the people always say. Oh,
But
he's going to underthrow him all the time.
Yeah.
the point that I made on heavyweights is to what Dan Campbell said about him being like physically stronger and his ability to plant on the ground and make cuts. Like, I think when you're looking at the scariest situation you can be in the NFL, an individual situation, the scariest things you could see in the NFL, it's one-on-one in the hole with Derrick Henry, one-on-one on the outside trying to guard Aiden Hutchinson or Myles Garrett for a tackle. I think a corner playing one-on-one with Jameson Williams next year is going to be that level of fear, because if he has truly completed his route tree, how do you guard a hitch and go against Jameson Williams? If you bite on that, it's over. That's a touchdown. So
There's no substitute for speed. I would put up there with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. I think that's a great point, Spenny. You know, you can get between a dude's legs when he's running at you.
Yeah.
And accidentally tackle a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, I didn't mean it, but I brought it down. You know what I mean? There's no substitute for speed. There's nothing you can do. If that comes to fruition, good Lord, look out. It's
Well,
next
the only
level.
thing you can't do something. You bust his ass at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Let's see him if he's strong enough that he can get through that. If not, you crack him right at the line of scrimmage and just say, "What's up, dude?" But that's what the good corners will do.
It was, well, do you remember, I always bring up, Terry, there was that one, like Scott Mitchell to Herman Moore was nearly unstoppable in 1995. I mean, it really was. And to the point where guys just started, the pass interference penalties in the end zone on Herman Moore it was incredible.
Yeah.
I remember going to a game, I think there were 3 different, when I was covering the game, there were 3 different calls on him in the end zone that set up first and goals. There's just, you know, sometimes there's that connection, and this has the potential of being one of those connections. It really does.
Yeah, and to Terry's point, that is what you would have to do to, like, if he's truly taking the steps that we're hearing from pretty much every offensive coach on the Detroit Lions team now. You got to try to chop him at the line, but if you don't have safety help over top and he beats your hands on that, that's touchdown. Goodbye.
Yep.
he gets a step on you, that's a touchdown.
That's true. Now you and I, do stuff we shouldn't be doing. We fill these young people's heads with how bad the Lions used to be.
Yes.
Now, the one unstoppable play the Lions had was Scott Mitchell or whoever to Herman Moore, the fade route.
That fade route.
In the end zone. Do you know if they stopped running when Matt Millen took over? The fade route. It disappeared. And they said, well, Herman was old. Well, it worked the year before.
Yeah.
So now, 3 months later, it can't work.
It's amazing how that works itself out.
Give me a break.
Yeah, it's. You know what, though? I want to get back to Dan for a second, if I can. And this is what's cool about Dan. Spenny, we talked about this so much last year. People forget Dan for a little while. Everybody in Lionland was pissed off at Dan after the Frisco game, after the loss in the playoff.
Yep.
Why? Dan shot straight. Mm-hmm. Dan came out and told you something you didn't want to hear. And he shot straight, and unfortunately, we had to live that reality. It's not that easy to get back to that point. It just isn't. And little did we know that was going to come to fruition not even a year later.
Yeah.
But that's why, Terry, for me, Dan saying it hits a little different for me. Dan embracing the schedule, like going, hell yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. Remember all the weather forecasters out there last year before the game in Green Bay. It's going to be miserable. There's going to be rain. There's going to be mud. Dan was smiling like the fucking butcher's dog. Oh, man, this is why you play football. You get down in the dirt and everything. And I'm like, Lions by 10.
I couldn't believe it.
That's all I needed to hear.
The team was built for it. You think a team with David Montgomery and Penei Sewell is going to be sad to play
Right.
in the rain? Like,
Penei Sewell said, oh man, I got a stain on my pants.
And it was Jordan Love reaching back like he got shot in the back of his legs. It was Jordan Love not taking care of the ball and everything. And that's why I think, Terry, Dan Campbell has earned that trust, not just from the results, but I think the fact that when he says something, I don't get the impression he's saying something just for clicks. I think he deep down inside, he means it. And that's why he's got the respect in the room he does.
Yeah, I think for the most part he does, but I just think with J-Mo you gotta give him a little something now and then. And I think Dan Campbell sees that he can help this team. He's not just a throwaway. He's not just a because you remember when J-Mo was dropping passes, what did Dan Campbell and everybody says? Well, he's still blocking out there. And to me, I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm not paying him to block somebody. I'm paying him to catch the ball. And to me, that was hey, why don't you meet my cousin? She ain't the cutest girl in the world, but she's got a great personality.
You might get a Hummer by the end of the night.
Right.
That's fair.
Well, I guess. You know what? You just said that was the Pettigrew thing. Do you remember the Pettigrew argument? Like,
Oh, God.
you don't take a blocking tight end 20th overall in the draft.
Granite hands.
And everybody used to sit back. Everybody used to you're too hard on Pettigrew. He's one of the best blocking tight ends. You don't select that guy 20th overall in the fucking draft.
No, you draft linemen to block on the offensive line.
And Lions have done great with tight ends after Charlie Sanders. The Lions had Pettigrew, who stunk. They had the hands of Sloan.
Yep.
And then I forget the
Eric Ebron.
Eric Ebron.
Oh.
The worst out of all of them. At least Hawkinson was good. Sam Laporta's good. But
You only got rid of Hawkinson because you didn't want to pay
you
him.
didn't want to pay him. Yeah, that was the right move.
It was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
absolutely.
Right, brilliant move.
You got Brian Branch out of it, I think, or some. I forget what draft pick it ended up being, but yeah.
Pay less for a guy that can do every bit as much as he does. Okay,
If
sign
not
me
more.
up.
If
Yep.
not more.
Sign me up. I'm in.
Laporta might have come a lot.